Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed to the Substack DaftOnDraft.football, where you will get access to all of these charts on Google Drive for every quarterback in the class, access to insider information on the Discord channel, film rooms every single week, live chartings every single week, big boards, positional rankings, more and more. So make sure you are tuned in. Welcome back into the Daft on Draft podcast presented by FanDuel. If you are listening to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, in these positional rankings, we're going to break down safeties today. Just make sure to tune into YouTube as well, as we will have some film clips. And if you want to tune in and watch those film clips of the individual players that we're talking about as well, just make sure to watch those on YouTube as well. Before we do that, James, we're coming into this right off the heels of the Miami Ole Miss game as well, which we won't get too deep into here, but exciting game. James, how you feeling?
Yeah, it was a barn burner. I was grinding the AJ Halsey tape during commercial breaks, but yeah, awesome game. Super excited to dive into the safety class.
Let's waste no time doing so then. So first up, as always, is going to be Caleb Downs at Ohio State here. So Caleb Downs came into the season consensus safety 1. Sounds like he's leaving the season consensus safety 1 here, and consensus top 10 player in the draft. And he deserves every bit of that. James, so going through Downs' tape here, the strengths are a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, he leaves one box unchecked for me. Just one box on his entire profile, and it's, does he have range to play over the top? Because, you know, even if he's in single high, where he is the only deep man, he's usually in any play that you see tweeted out, or any like highlight play that you watch on tape, is still him stepping down.
Right.
And like triggering onto a post or triggering onto a dig.
Mm-hmm.
So the only question I have for Downs is like, and maybe it doesn't need to be questioned because he's not a true single high. Maybe we just say he's not a true single high. So why do I need to have that question answered? Is, does he have that range to really play over the top?
Yeah, I went back. I mean, I obviously watched his tape last year, watched his tape this year. I went back to the Bama tape just to try to find any more translatable single high reps. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, he is the best college safety that I've ever evaluated at hunting in breakers from the post. You know, anything where he's just got to drive on something over the middle. He's and triggers like he personally installed the opposing offense, and it's just exceptional play recognition and coverage awareness. Also does a great job of always taking throw side angles to the catch point. Great timing his arrival with the ball. And I think that coverage awareness extends to pretty much every other aspect of zone coverage. Like when it rapid diagnosis of quick game concepts, consistently sniffs out tight end leak. The Minnesota game, there were several examples of that. The one coverage IQ issue that I think he has is he isn't super anticipatory in like the hook curl with stuff developing behind him. So that's kind of the main area that he will allow some completions. But the over the top range is probably the number one question with Downs. Went back to the Bama tape. He did have an interception from single high, but it was on like a slot fade. So he wasn't really having to range out to the sideline. I don't think he really has standout physical or athletic traits. And for me, that is just not something that I really value highly for a safety. I mean, it's almost a cliche how often it gets said, but it's very true that a 4-3 athlete that doesn't read the game quickly basically plays like a 4-5 athlete at the safety position, and vice versa. And I don't think that his speed is necessarily limiting, but like when he gets matched up, even with a tight end vertically, he'll kind of struggle to keep pace sometimes. So I do think that like he gets classified as a versatile safety. I don't know that I would say that. I think he has a very specialized role at what he's going to do well. But that role, which is just being a menace around the line of scrimmage, I mean, that in today's NFL especially, that's still pretty valuable. And so I've kind of softened a little bit on like being, I think I was a little bit too hard on Caleb Downs initially for the specialized role that he plays, I do trust that he's a good player and can probably do more in the NFL than what he was asked to do at Ohio State.
Yeah, just to add on to the athleticism and kind of fill in the cracks of what you said. Yeah, I have doesn't have exceptional long speed, but the initial burst out of his trigger is exceptional. So like the short area quickness, the short area ability to flip his hips and change directions. I think all of that is there in like a phone booth, but definitely the long speed is something I see a little bit of an issue with.
I think I think his downhill breaks are pretty explosive. I
Yep.
think that he really struggles with 45-degree breaks, like when he's trying to cover an outbreaker from the slot and he's got inside leverage. There's an example. I mean, there's actually kind of mirrored examples against Wisconsin of Caleb Downs covering a deep out from the tight end with inside leverage, and then Dillon Thieneman covering a deep out. And you can see the difference in how they're able to close space out of that 45-degree break. So yeah, I do worry about the athleticism a little bit, but we haven't even mentioned the run defense, which is
Right.
exceptional.
Exceptional. Yeah, he punches blocks like a linebacker, dude.
Yeah, I mean
It
that rep against Indiana where he wrong arms the puller.
Mhm.
Did you notice that? It's I mean
Yeah.
he had a really good like club swim against Penn State. He is an excellent block shedder. Um, reads his keys really efficiently, and the ball carrier falls backwards consistently
Yes.
when he arrives. So
The last thing I wanna point out about Caleb Downs as well is that the ball skills are exceptional
mhm.
too. Like, anytime he has a chance to high point the football, he's going up and he's getting it, and he looks like a receiver doing so. Ohio State used him as a punt returner, and he showed a lot of comfortability even doing that. And did I don't know if you watched the Grambling tape because, like, it's an FCS school against
I
Ohio
did.
State. But in that game, he's in the box, and he's kinda coming on a blitz, kind of spying, like, he's sim pressuring, and they're throwing a quick slant, and so he's at the line of scrimmage, and he intercepts a quick slant at the line of scrimmage, like, just like taking a bullet pass in close quarters and still picking it off. So, it is like he caught it off of a jug, like his hands right against a jugs machine, and still caught it and picked it off. So, I think the ball skills with Downs are really good too.
Yeah, very good. Not a ton of ball production for like a first round safety, but consistent 2 picks a year. Um, all three seasons of his career. Also has 2 punt return touchdowns
Yep.
and wasn't used as a returner this year. But
Nope.
yeah, and I guess final thing to mention is a very dependable tackler. His missed tackle rate has been very stable: 11.4%, 10.5%, 11.5%. So you kind of know what you're getting there.
Yep. Agreed. All right, let's move on here, James. Why don't you bring us into your analysis on Oregon safety Dillon Thieneman?
So Dillon Thieneman is my safety two. I think he probably has the most proven versatility at the top of this safety class. When you look at what he's been asked to do over the course of his 3 year college career, so started out at Purdue where he played free safety in a cover one heavy scheme. He led college football as a freshman in average alignment depth, 16.8 yards. That went down to 12.4 yards his second year and then 8.4 yards at Oregon. And so at Oregon, he's playing a role that's a lot closer to Caleb Downs, where he's kind of the robber over the middle of the field, in the run fit a lot more. And I just think when you look at the complete body of work, there are so many things that he does at a high level and so few areas that he struggles.
Mhm.
I think that just starting with the weaknesses can kind of highlight how well-rounded his game is. So the first thing is that he's not like an imposing physical profile, although that applies to every safety we're going to talk about pretty much, except Emanuel McNeel-Warren. They have like literally identical heights and weights. Downs, Thieneman, Ramsey, and Jennison Smith are all 204, 205 pounds. So
Yep.
that is a stable across the board. I think he panics at the catch point deep downfield, struggles to turn and locate the ball. When he is like face guarding the receiver and he's got to turn and work back, he's great at the catch point when he's working top down. Uh, Only 15 career press snaps. Most safeties in this class don't have a lot of press coverage experience, but that's true for Dillon Thieneman. And then I think he's more comfortable avoiding a block than attacking it, and I would say below average stopping power as a tackler.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I think a very strong prospect. I love the short area burst. I think the eyes and field vision are excellent. And dude is a extremely consistent tackler, great in underneath coverage. He leads FBS safeties with 26 tackles on screens or flares over the last 2 seasons. So yeah, big fan of Dillon Thieneman. He is my 27th player overall.
I love it. I sit with Thieneman at right around there at 31 on my board. So we're talking pretty closely together there. So just to echo a lot of stuff that you said, he took a jump off of my board. I think I said earlier this week that Genesis Smith had graded out as my safety too, and then we did the episode where we went back over and we talked about the quarterfinals tape, and so then I added the Texas Tech tape to the eval, and that changes some things because I had his eval pretty much written just leading into the playoffs. And then you watch the James Madison tape, and then you watch the Texas Tech tape, where I had in his run support section like this is an average run defending safety. And then I watched the JMU tape, and it's like, maybe not. And then you watch the Texas Tech tape, and then you say, like, yes, this is a well above average run defender, even if he's not physically imposing at like the point of contact. Even though the Texas Tech tape, he definitely was. But I agree with you that he tends to more absorb contact than initiate contact. A little bit when he is tackling there and not overly physically imposing. But that really bumped his grade up just that one section because again, I already have that his lower half tools are pretty good. The only thing that I have in his lower half tools that give me a little bit of pause is that when he is in his back pedal and he has to come change directions and trigger forward, I think his plant foot can slip a little bit outside of his frame. And I think that delays him changing directions and shifting his weight a little bit. But that's really it. And then like getting to the edge is in run support, getting to the edge is rather or like I don't think he's overly explosive. He's a good athlete. He's a good to great athlete, but like I think he can tend to get beat to the edge a little bit running the alley. Um, and then in coverage, the only thing that I would add on top of that as another weakness is you mentioned actually is that there's a little bit of a lack of confidence in man-to-man situations shown from Theamman as well. Another player who, when he does, like especially going back to the Purdue tape, when there's a chance for that man to go up and pluck the football out of the air, he is going and he is attacking the football out of the air. Now, you said you did mention locating the football is one thing, but when he finds that thing, he's going to go get it. And so and then the versatility with Thieneman, I think, might be the most underrated. Yeah, he's not going to play in the slot. Like this isn't a slot guy who's going to drop down and play a lot of man-to-man reps. But uh, at Oregon, he's doing both. He's split safety, dropping down into low hole defenders. He's stepping into the box more frequently than he ever did at Purdue. And then when he is playing single high, like the Minnesota game, go watch the Minnesota game. That dude's range in the Minnesota game is unbelievable over the top. So I think he checks all of those boxes except again playing in the slot, which is why would you want to put him in the slot with that high level of snaps anyway? But I think that's about it on Dillon Thieneman that I have as well. Again, I have a second round grade on Thieneman, 31 on my board too.
In agreement so far.
Yep. All right, moving on to the next one. Let's talk about Toledo's Emanuel McNeel-Warren. Again, he is definitely the biggest of the safeties that we're going to talk about today. Give me 1 second. I will pull up his actual measurements here and we'll
6033, 209.
Yep.
33 and 3/8 inch arms.
Yep. Big boy back there for the Toledo secondary. And he plays like it, man. The guy's a ball hawk in terms of ball production, in terms of playing through the hands at the catch point, and in terms of trying his goddamnedest to create turnovers every time he's got an opportunity to. He's one of the best ball punchers that I've ever seen evaluating NFL draft prospects. His ability to find a way to get the ball out is unreal. Again, he's got long arms, so I think when he gets hands on dudes, he's bringing them to the ground. Again, because he is a little bit high cut, there is a little bit of stiffness in the upper or in the lower half for Emanuel McNeel-Warren as well. But I think once the directions change, I think he's explosive off the back foot, and I think he anticipates at a high level to where even if he isn't the highest end athlete, he's got range to cover grounds because he's a really anticipatory player, really high IQ player. So Emanuel McNeel-Warren going to be at the Senior Bowl. He's just a really he's the next in line of the Toledo guys of this crazy Linsanity run of day 2 prospects they're popping out. So day 1, day 2 prospects, going back to Quinyon Mitchell too. So on the crazy run of prospects that the University of Toledo has been popping out to the NFL.
And they've got the unfortunate thing in today's college football is that they all transfer, but they've got another one. Braden Alls, I think. I remember I noticed him like watching McNeel-Warren. He's transferred somewhere, but he'll be a dude next year. You want to play the tape while I talk? So yeah, I would echo a lot of what you said about McNeel-Warren. 11 career forced fumbles, which is the most among FBS defensive backs since 2022. Very interesting when you watch his fumbles on tape. For as much of a like tone setter as he is, the fumbles are never him just laying somebody out. It's always like surgical plucking the ball out while somebody else is trying to tackle him. When you watch the fumbles on tape, half of them you can't even like tell when or where the fumble occurred or where the ball ends up. So kind of interesting there. I think that the raw explosiveness I think is below average, but like you said, because he's so anticipatory, he has relatively clean footwork and he just takes massive strides that erase cushion. So he is able to cover a ton of ground as a robber over the middle of the field. Does a great job of breaking in conjunction with the quarterback's release. And I mean, the first thing that I wrote on his on my notes was middle of the field enforcer. You will see receivers hear footsteps, make business decisions all the time. Like he's got to lead college football in amount of targets that were dropped. And like sometimes you can see the receiver specifically look and see McNeel-Warren bearing down and then look back to the ball and then they get a focus drop. So just really an imposing presence. Also has some press man versatility, just, you know, smothers receivers and tight ends at the line of scrimmage. My main issues with McNeel-Warren, like I said, I don't think he's a great athlete. I think the back pedal is a little bit clunky sometimes, but he can get depth. Like there was an interception that he made where he kind of started out on the hashes and you see him really able to push his weave to the sideline. And then also like the ability to make speed turns, peel off of one route, break to the sideline. I think there is enough fluidity to bounce from route to route in coverage. I think that you really see his lack of immediate burst show up in the low red zone. If he's got to win an angle quickly, a lot of times he just can't beat runners to the pylon. Whereas if he's coming from depth, he can get enough build-up speed usually to win the pursuit angle. And 5 career dropped interceptions. So that's the last thing I had.
Right. Yeah, which is crazy considering the amount of ball production that he has, like turnovers he's been able and ability to play through the hands, as I mentioned. So yeah, that's a lot of ball production for our guy Emanuel McNeel-Warren. Um, he's a fun player, dude. I'm excited to see him what he can do on the tape in Mobile against the higher level competition as well. All right, let's move on here to our next guy, which is going to be the newest guy in this conversation, and that's Arizona's Genesis Smith. He's really exploded onto the scene here over the past week since he's declared. You had shouted him out earlier in the season as a player that you had liked. I don't know if it was on the podcast or it was off air, but you definitely
It was
shouted
for
him out.
this Kansas. I gave him a helmet sticker for this Kansas State game, and you can see why.
Yeah, yeah. So what is worth shouting out about Genesis Smith compared to the rest of the guys in his class? I mean, the next guy we're going to talk about also on his 2024 tape had this ability, but like he is the only true single high safety that we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
And so that holds a lot of value, and I think that even makes me feel better about his lack of ability as a tackler. Like, he's the worst tackler we're gonna talk about of all of these guys, like, almost shies away from contact and just misses a lot of tackles. Um, but what I will say about Genesis Smith is he is ungodly explosive, ungodly rangy, and then ungodly fluid. So I think this is probably the best athlete we're talking about of this group of
Mhm.
safeties as well. Um, and he's a lot of fun, man. He's another guy. The ball production doesn't quite match, but what I think my favorite part about Genesis Smith's game, other than ranging over the top, which is different than what we've seen with other guys in this class, is I think he's unbelievably smart in in match coverages as well. So like he's feeling out, even like triggering down from posts and dig from single high looks, even in quarters, he's matching really well, but then he's peeling off instinctually as well to then put himself back in position to make a play on a route that he has no business being in position to make a play on. So Genesis Smith is a really fun player. He's my safety 3 in this class and a second round grade on Genesis Smith as well.
Yeah, I am a little bit lower on Genesis Smith. He's 57th overall for me, safety 5. One key strength that I would also mention is how precise he is with his hands. I love how when he's got like a tight end that's trying to box him out on a hitch or something, the way that he high points the ball when it arrives and then rakes through the hands, just does that consistently. And then I think that also shows up with his ability to force fumbles, 5 forced fumbles over the last 2 years. Um, the I wrote that he's a passenger in run support. He is kind of just like has like a sideline view for everybody else a lot of times, and the tackling is pretty brutal. So you want him playing free safety to maximize his strengths and also to hide his weaknesses for sure. My biggest
But
issue with Go ahead.
so I was just gonna say, like, but I think I'm okay with that in a true range
Oh
of
yeah.
free safety. Like, if we like think about like Kalen Bullock was drafted in the second round by the Houston
Yep.
Texans.
That's exactly
Kalen
what I was
Bullock
thinking.
is a terrible tackler at USC, and he's a great free safety for the Houston
Yep.
Texans. Again, tackling is a tertiary trait for single high free safeties. It is like your third, like you again that you are literally the backstop for a reason. So I think I'm okay to overlook that a little bit.
It's partially we see so few like true free safeties anymore. Like there's
Mhm.
you just hardly ever evaluate somebody where it's like, yeah, they're going to play, 60+% of their snaps, in the post. I think that a common theme when I miss on a defensive back is me being too rigid with uh, too rigid and punitive for things that they can't do or things that they haven't proven the ability to do. And I need to just assume or assume more that teams are going to draft players to do things that they do well,
Yeah. Mhm.
And so like I was too low on Kalen Bullock because it's like, oh, he can't play in the box, he can't do this, but it's like, so don't play him there.
Right. Exactly. They're not drafted to do that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my take with Genesis Smith. The one hangup that I do have as a single high free safety is I think he's really got to improve his drive angles and eye
Mhm.
balance. He is hyper focused on the quarterback and basically he reads and reacts really quickly, but he's pretty much just breaking to where he thinks the ball is going to end up and needs to riff the releases and like have an idea of where where he needs to intersect the route, where the ball is going to end up. And so I think improving the eye balance and taking better angles is going to help him make more plays on the ball. But yeah, he just does stuff in deep zone coverage that no one else that we've talked about can do.
Yeah, and I want to shout out one more thing too. That's a strength of Genesis Smith as well. Anytime that he was in off-man coverage from the slot, I did not feel like he was at a disadvantage either. Like I thought he was very good at catch technique
He's
and
sticky,
sinking
yeah.
into hit pockets. Yeah, so um, I'm a big fan of Genesis Smith. All right, moving on to the next safety in this class. James, go ahead and lead us into some Kamari Ramsey discussion here.
So Kamari Ramsey is very interesting player to talk about. Kind of has had a similar career path as Dillon Thieneman, where he's got 2 years of tape playing two different roles essentially. Last year he was a lot more of kind of the Genesis Smith free safety. This year played a lot more in the nickel. His nickel percentage as far as snap count went from 25% to 52%. So you're just kind of getting a different look at his skill sets. I do think the tape and obviously the production declined this year, but the difference in role has a lot to do with that. As a free safety, he does have a lot of range over the top. I think his speed is very good. I think the lack of burst is a major problem when he's trying to close distance in short areas. There when he's trying to like break on an out and he's out leveraged already, his feet are just going nowhere. So the lack of burst, I think, would be an issue in like a quarters heavy scheme, or if he were to play nickel in the NFL. Very good, very comfortable turning and locating the ball downfield. Very smart player in general. I think does a great job of sorting through releases, triggers immediately to his assignments in the flat. Really a ton of examples of him shutting down like snag and spacing concepts. As a run defender, it's there's not a whole lot of great things to say. 1.0% run stop rate in 2025, ranked 414th out of 434 qualifying safeties. Last year, it was actually 2.0%. There's some blown gaps. I think he has decent competitiveness and play strength taken on blocks, but not a dominant block shedder by any means. I just think he's going to be a low impact in the run game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's got an early third for me, safety 4. I'm just a little more lukewarm on him following the 2025.
That's exactly where I'm at too. He's 49th on my board, or
52.
49th on my board, and an early third on my board as well. So I do think that I want him playing free. I don't want him in the slot. I mean, it's nice that he can drop down and play there frequently. But again, as you mentioned, him playing 52% of the snaps under the new defensive coordinator who's now at Penn State. So USC is going after another defensive coordinator again. I didn't love the fit with him playing almost, predominantly in the slot there. The free safety tapes where it's at for me. And again, that just like with Genesis Smith, that will mitigate a lot of the tackling issues that that we see on tape with Kamari Ramsey. So I'm right there on board with you as well.
He did improve this year as a tackler.
Yeah, he did. He has a way lower missed tackle rate. A lot of less opportunities.
20.8% to 3.2%, but that's partially an exposure thing.
Right. At play at free, you're in the open field way more often. Mm-hmm. In the slot, you can trigger downhill and
you're coming in from an angle. Yeah,
exactly. I do think he can hold his own in the slot though, like in off man. The same kind of with Genesis Smith. I do think Genesis Smith is a more explosive athlete. Than Kamari Ramsey as well. Kamari Ramsey attacks the freaking football though, dude. He might have the best hands of any safety in this class. Yeah, I'll throw that out there. He probably has the best hands of any safety in the class, and some of the exceptional, spectacular interceptions that he's been able to make over his career are a lot of fun. From Kamari Ramsey. Again, I wish we could have seen another year where he was predominantly free safety, but it is what it is, and I do think that's probably where he's going to be drafted at the next level, though.
I think he's kind of, to me, like the inverse of Caleb Downs when he's asked to play free safety. I think Caleb Downs is excellent driving on routes over the middle. I question his sideline to sideline range. Ramsey, I don't have any worries about him covering hole shots, slot fades, whatever. But I don't think he had a very quick trigger downhill as a free safety. And like I said, I think the start-stop burst just isn't there.
Yep, I would agree with that as well. All right, let's move on to A.J. Hulsey here. So A.J. Hulsey, again, LSU safety. They played him at free safety, like single high, quite a bit, but he never got depth, and he was always still with his eyes downhill, even in single high. Definitely the least athletic safety of the 6 that we're going to talk about, that we've talked about today. I think the burst is just average. The short area quickness is fine, but the burst out of the back foot's just average, and then the long speed is average to maybe even slightly below average in my opinion, getting to like running at the alley and stuff like that. He's a hard hitter. I do think that he needs maybe a little bit more control running the alley, a little bit more control in the open field coming in as a tackler. He does have a decently high missed tackle rate, and I think that's because he's constantly looking for a big hit. Like he's constantly looking for a big hit, shoulders down 100% of the time, and he's never looking to form tackle.
Yes.
For better or for worse, there. What I will say about AJ Halsey though is that he is the correct, downs, but like he is one of the craftier low hole defenders in the draft. All
Every
of his ball,
superlative has to be except downs.
right,
Pretty
right,
much,
right.
yeah.
Every amount of ball production that AJ Halsey has put on tape, which he has quite a few career interceptions, quite a few career pass breakups, but they're all from him baiting as a robber and
Can I give you a
triggering
stat?
down here into the low hole. Yeah, go for it.
Over the last 2 seasons, AJ Halsey leads FBS safeties with 7 combined pass breakups and interceptions on in-breaking routes. So that's digs, shallow posts, and crossing routes. It's everything. That's all of his tape. I don't have it cut up because I was finishing it up during the game, but yeah, that's what it is basically.
I need to look it up because this season in particular, he got Marcel Reed in the end zone. He almost got Ty Simpson. He almost got John Mateer. He did get, which other quarterbacks did he get here? He also got DJ Lagway. Oh, he did get John Mateer. Yeah, he almost got John Mateer twice then because he had another one over the middle that he
the interception in week 14 against John Mateer was outstanding.
Yeah. But they're all just him baiting and then triggering from a robber look. He's exceptional at it. This guy needs to be playing split safety. Like you can't be playing
absolutely
high at the NFL level. But I think like he can be a pretty decent split safety. Again, I think he's anticipatory enough to range half field in split looks and then play a decent amount in the box as well. That's where I want AJ Halsey playing 100%. But to me, he reminds me a little bit of like Ronnie Hickman out of Ohio State a few years ago.
Okay, I can see that.
It's kind of the feel I get for him.
Yeah, that's pretty much my scouting report. I think the burst is inconsistent to me. I think the actual, like, from an athletic standpoint, I think his speed, I would say, is between below average and poor. And I think his burst is probably adequate, but pretty often there's a stall when he's trying to plant and drive that to me is not an athletic limitation. It's weird. Like he'll see something, he'll get into his plant and drive, and then he'll kind of like there's just like a stall or a hitch. Mm-hmm. So that limits him a little bit. But yeah, you put this dude in a quarter scheme and he's going to get like 5 interceptions and 10 pass breakups from poach technique alone. Like,
yep.
Just, robbing stuff from
squatting
the backside.
Yeah.
Flies into the alley with conviction. Every tackle is just him trying to maximize power output with his shoulder, essentially. And so when it's a solo tackle, the results are a little bit inconsistent. He's really got to improve his angles coming downhill in the alley, make sure that he is playing stuff with inside out leverage because he allows a lot of cutback lanes. This is not somebody that I feel comfortable with at all in man coverage. He is consistently grabbing the jersey the moment he feels any kind of vertical push, not even when he gets stacked. He just knows that he can't keep up. So yeah, I ended up with a late third. And I had to remind myself, this is not an athleticism position. Because I mean, AJ Halsey is an incredibly smart player, but I do feel like compared to a player like Caleb Downs or maybe Xavier Watts from last year, who I think people, myself included, would describe as like adequate NFL athletes, but just, that's not really that's not what you're drafting them for. I think AJ Halsey does fall into more of the limited athlete where, like, if you get him ISO'd in a one-on-one situation, it could be bad. So I do think there's a chance that, especially, well, he's actually not an older player, just a 4th year, but I do think there's a chance he falls to early day 3 because of that. But wouldn't surprise me if that happens, and then he ends up making Pro Bowls in
Yep.
a really specialized role.
Yep, I've got a low third on him as well. Again, like 55th on my board, 54th, 55th on my board is what I said. Let me double check that. It's right around there. Yep, 55th on my board. Low third round grade for.
So I'm
for
73 on Halsey, so I am a little bit lower, but
okay, sounds good. You have a lot more players on your board than I do at this point too. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm writing them up as I go. But he's a fun player. But what you said, and then the last thing that another just kind of glaring weakness is that I think he's so like giddy up to trigger downhill that he can get caught. He can get caught. But I watched the Alabama game and Josh Cuevas ran a little slot fade on him. That wasn't even like a double move, but it was the Alabama tight end running a little slot fade or a little bender back to the outside. And the moment that Cuevas hit the top of his route, Halsey triggered downhill real hard on him, and then like just looped right over top of him. So I think he's really eager to try to get his hands on the football. A little too eager.
I could see, like I said, that he's going to make a Pro Bowl. I could see him making the Pro Bowl, but it's going to be like a Trayvon Diggs season, you know, where he gets a bunch of picks, but then also just gets burned constantly. Yeah. I could see him being that type of player.
Yep. He's fun though. I mean, I appreciate the grind. Yeah. I appreciate the hustle. All right, James, before we get out of here, let's go through here and rank these guys. So for me, I'm going to start out Caleb Downs plus 10,000 odds on FanDuel to go first overall. It's going to happen. So those are great odds. You should probably take those. 2, Dillon Thieneman, Oregon. 3, Genesis Smith, Arizona. 4, Emanuel McNeel-Warren, Toledo. 5, Kamari Ramsey, USC. 6, AJ Halsey, LSU.
Yeah, so I've got Downs at 1. Don't think that he is going to go number 1 overall, but definitely a top 10 pick, you know, considering the class. Theamman at 2, Emanuel McNeel-Warren at 3, Genesis Smith at 4, Kamari Ramsey at 5. Then I've got Bray Hubbard at 6 and AJ Halsey at 7. And all 7 of those guys are in my top 75, by the way.
Awesome. And we still haven't heard anything about Bray Hubbard if he's from Alabama, if he's coming out or not. So we'll see what happens there as well. But that's it, man. That's all we got for this episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. Hope you enjoyed this safety breakdown. Enjoy Indiana-Oregon rematch as this episode comes out on a lovely Friday. It's my son's 4th birthday as well on today's date. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week to break it all down for you. Until next time, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. See ya.